So I'm here today with Ali, Aleali and myself, and we're talking about the potential of buying a franchise called Steamoji based in Vancouver. It's owned and started by Hank Harkoff. And Ali and I are just sort of wondering, is this a good thing to do or not? We're going to talk about that for the next probably 50 or 60 minutes. We're recording this really basically for Ali and myself, but also for Oksana, who couldn't be here today. Oksana is the better half of Ali. And one of the first things I mentioned just before we started recording this is that Ali and Oksana should not only talk to the ownership and the salesperson for Steamoji, but also some of the current franchise owners. And then Ali mentioned something to me that is a bit of a concern, and that is the facilitators who are a big part of this do turn over quite frequently. At least that's what he's found out so far. And I was about to say before we started recording, now I am going to say it for the recording, have you ever been, excuse me, to Club Med?
No.
Okay, Club Med it was started in France many years ago now, and the accommodation is very basic. But it's a fun place to go. And part of the reason it's a fun place to go, Ali, is they have something called GOs, Gentil Organisateurs. So they're like kind of camp counselors for adults. So if you and Oksana were there, and my wife Dawn and I were there, one of these facilitators would come running through the camp and say, "Hey, Ali, Oksana, it's water volleyball. Come on, get up off your derriere, get off your backside, and we're going to play that." Yeah. And believe it or not, one of my former clients, the Daniels Corp, which is, I think, the second largest condo builder in Toronto, so pretty big, they started to hire GOs for their condo buildings. So let's say you and Oksana had a condo, you were living in a condo in downtown Toronto. These facilitators or camp counselors or GOs, whatever you call them, would run around the building and say, "Come on, we're having, a beer pong tonight." If it's a young group like you, it'd probably be beer pong. If it's an older group like me, it might be bridge night, right? But it's a way of creating community. So having facilitators that will stay at least for a while is a really big deal. That's something you should examine further. And the other thing I said just before we started recording was, I'm sure Hank is a good person. He's the founder of this company, but you should do some due diligence on him too, just to make sure that he's got a good track record.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Makes sense. So part of the reason I think they're having turnover is that basically these facilitators are based on minimum wage, and they hire university students and even high school students sometimes, because the job they do is pretty simple, right? Like they just essentially when the kids come, kids are getting their instructions from pre-recorded videos and tablets, and they start their projects, and if they get stuck at some point, they're just going to raise their hand.
Yeah, but I think the facilitator position is much more important than maybe Hank thinks. And paying minimum wage is a really bad idea, in my opinion, because all of the businesses I've run and all of the businesses I've advised, I think retaining staff and having high quality staff is a key. So, this may not, the franchise owner may think that that paying minimum wage is a good thing, but I would be inclined to have people who are really mentors and teachers, and I would pay them. I pay cleaners today, Ali, $30 or $35 an hour. We run some Airbnb units, my wife and I, and our cleaners are so important.
Yeah, for sure.
They go in and they do a great job cleaning the place. They restock it. They do some shopping. They do the laundry. They make sure we get a good review. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
And we pay them $30 or $35. We don't pay them $15.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this is a big point about this business, is that essentially I didn't run the numbers paying somebody more than minimum wage, but essentially, if you look at the cost structure, you have the fixed cost, which is your rent, utilities, and a director or a manager, store manager. And then you have the variable cost, which is mainly your facilitators. As more students you have, you more hours of facilitators you need. And one reason this business seems to work is that you have one facilitator for like 4 or 5 students.
Right.
So if you start paying that basically more money, the financials are going to be affected quite a bit.
No question about that. Let me ask you this: Are you required by the franchise agreement to charge not more than $299 a month as a membership fee?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Here's what I learned this from a rich doctor in Texas.
Okay.
And a long time ago. That's
okay.
at least 40 years ago. And you understand American medical care is both fantastic and terrible, right?
Yeah.
If you have health insurance, just go ahead and die,
Yeah.
But if you have health insurance, a good health insurance, the at the top end, the medical system in the United States is among, if not the best in the world, among the best. So what he told me was in Texas, I can't remember whether he was in Dallas or Houston, but one of the 2 biggest cities in Texas. He said, I never worry about my costs. And I was a young man, about your age or maybe even a bit younger. And I said, why is that? He said, because I just put my prices up. And, I think the first location is probably going to be Ottawa, right?
Yeah, I mean, for us, yes.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah.
Talk about you. So if paying $35 an hour, and you don't have to pay them $35 initially, you pay them $25 an hour for their first 6 months, and then $30 an hour for the next 6 months, and then in year 2 they get $35.
Okay.
What it does to your economics, and if it destroys the viability of the business, you have 2 choices: 1, don't buy the franchise, or 2, raise prices. And for me as well, I think. I put in an email to you and Oksana earlier when you first proposed this to me, that parents will pay almost anything for their kids. I mean, I had 5 kids, as you know, and 3 of my girls were in competitive dance. I think it cost us at least $12,000 or $13,000 a year back then to have in dance. I had 3 of them, so probably at least $35,000 a year. And then I had a son in competitive hockey, and that was like 15 grand. And my other son, he just was a loner, so I didn't have to pay any fees for. But that's just dance and hockey. So, $15,000 a year, that's like over like $1,200 a month.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So if $299 isn't going to work, maybe $347 will work.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a good point, because per hour for facilitator more. So let's say it's going to cost $10 more per hour compared to what
more than 10 to start with, and then $15 and $20 more than your financial projections. Because I could tell you, if you're running a business with minimum wage people, the turnover is going to be 40-50%, maybe higher. It'll drive you and Oksana crazy, and now you're going to be selling this thing.
Okay.
Listen, I'm here as your friend and as your coach. You don't have to pay any attention to me, but that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, that's great. That was one of the main concerns we had, actually, this facilitator hiring.
Okay, I've got a couple of other questions for you.
Yeah.
I always talk about your magic marketing button, right? You remember, this is kind of corny, but I always keep this thing around.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah.
So, and everybody laughs at that, but the fact is, I think you're going to need, at least 300 or 400 members.
Yes.
And you need to have a magic marketing button, something that's simple, not too expensive, and it works. Do you have one? What is the magic marketing button?
Yes.
So you're going to post something to Instagram. That's not a magic marketing.
No. So they recommend budgeting about $2,000 a month on marketing.
Yeah.
There's also the initial about 20 grand of marketing spend they recommend. Most of that marketing budget would go towards digital ads. But so that's the main way. But they also basically you get in touch with schools, and we need to engage with the community, right? So you provide some maybe free classes. You take your stuff to a school. You sign people up for probably lower prices or maybe free for a trial session. So you get exposure. So basically wherever the parents are, you try to provide exposure there.
So that is a very typical franchisor response.
Okay.
You spend money on digital ads. Now, I'm a coach and a real estate investment coach, sometimes a business coach, and mostly real estate. And so everybody said Facebook ads. That's where you have to be. I could spend $100,000 on Facebook ads, wouldn't get me a single friggin' coaching client. No, one. That's been my experience. So for coaching, what works is free webinars. That's what works, man. And I listen. I'm not an expert in Steamoji. I mean, I'm a 2-hour expert in Steamoji. But one of the I probably wouldn't spend 50 cents on digital ads at this point. I probably wouldn't spend a dime. Now, this is just me talking, and I could be completely wrong because I'm truly not an expert in it. But what I would be inclined to do is to run a series of webinars, and if you can, also run a few actual live. People are kind of sick of Zoom webinars.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly, you do some Zoom webinars, and to me, I think, believe it or not, you're still going to want to develop an email list. Email marketing, has been forgotten. Everybody thinks, TikTok, that's where we got to be. And for some things, TikTok definitely works. If you're creating a 7-second dance video, man, and you're good at it, and there's fun music, put it on TikTok. You'll get at least 45,000 views, if not 100,000.
Yeah.
And if you're a nice looking young man or woman, you get more. So that's fine. But this is a pretty serious business. So I would think if I was owning such a thing, I would have lots of free webinars, and I would have some free events eventually, live events, and I would build an email list. How many people, young people with, young parents do you know right now?
Well, most of our friends are young,
Exactly. So
I don't know. 20.
To me, I would much rather, at least initially, before you spend $20,000, like you give me the $20,000, I'll put Facebook ads and Instagram ads and some TikTok videos up and all the other stuff. I won't get a single coaching client from that. If I host a webinar and 20 parents show up, and I pitch them on Steamoji, and I tell them, look, I have facilitators that are going to blow your mind. I pay them really, really well. I don't pay them minimum wage. I pay them like 25, 30, 35 bucks an hour. These people will teach your kids how to do steam till it's coming out of their ears, right? Steam coming out of their ears. I thought it was, and I'll bet you get 20 parents showing up. And out of those 20, you should sign up between 3 and 8. And so you do 20 of those, you got 160, up to 160 signups, right? And I would agree with you that on the first probably 40, I would say to them, look, it's a 10-month commitment, but I'm going to make sure the first 3 months are free, and if you hate it, your kid hates it, after 3 months you can quit. You haven't paid a dime. So I would sign them up for a 10-month commitment at say $347 instead of $299, assuming that they come. And I'd say, look, sign up. It's $347 a month for 10 months. So it's quite a bit of money. It's over $3,000. But the first 3 months are going to be free. And if you or your kid really don't enjoy it, don't learn anything, you can bail after 3 months and you haven't spent a dime. You're going to get 60 parents to do that. I mean, Ottawa has like 1 million people. Gatineau has another 300,000 or 400,000. And like I said to you, parents will do, like my wife and I, we love our children. Of course, they're all in their 30s now, but excuse me. But certainly Steamoji would certainly have appealed to me.
Okay. And I guess it's the same concept to do it in person, right? So if you have an opportunity to do a present at the school event.
Initially, though, people are still very reluctant about going to live events. In the United States, it's quite different. So
Yeah.
if we were in Texas now, there's no doubt we'd do a live event. And if you put on a mask, people will be yelling at, take your mask
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
You know, like I've got clients in Texas, and some of them are pretty cautious. They walk through a shopping plaza with their mask on, and people be yelling, "You take off your mask, you sissy, you coward, take off." And you know, in Texas, you're allowed to carry guns now. Like in the old Wild West, you know, you got the 6-shooters here.
Yeah.
My client was telling me that, Ali, this is hilarious. He said, when I was walking through this shopping center, so many people were, because he had a mask on, were yelling at him. He said, I had to take it off. I thought somebody might shoot me. It's a different society. But in Ottawa, I think, you know, if you did 10 webinars and you got 20 parents to show up, and you've got maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 to sign up, you know, it's really no risk at all. It'll benefit your child. That's an irresistible selling proposition.
Okay.
And then that's how you get to your 60. And then maybe you do some digital ads, maybe. But save your 20 grand and your 2,000 a month and put your time and effort into webinars. That's my experience. You build yourself an email list of 10,000 parents in Ottawa over the next few years. Anytime you have an event or something like that, you hit the send button, and you populate your event.
Yeah. Okay. That's great.
Okay. So I had another question for you. Now, this might, again, your franchise agreement might prevent that. So one of the things I want you to make sure you ask about the franchise is whether or not you are free to do your own pricing.
Okay. Yeah. So you have to ask.
Some franchises, they're not. I don't think they're allowed to tell you have to price it at this. But but they might, look. They might take some measures against you if you don't toe the line. So you have to make sure you can either raise the prices above $299 or lower.
Yeah, for sure.
So the one question I had for you, I have a bunch of questions. I know what STEAM is. It's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Yeah.
It's a great program. Does the arts allow you to also teach music?
They don't do music, and I think I know the reason. I haven't asked them, but basically, the idea is that everything it's done in a way that anyone can teach it, right? Like the ideas you learn from the tablet and you do it on your hand. And I don't think music would be like that. I guess you need facilitators who understand music.
Just because one of the things that is almost certainly going to be a big part of the next, generation, it already is a big part, is adding music to anything that you do. So let's say you and I were kids again, and we create, a great video game, something simple but fun. Adding music to it would be really important. So to me, arts does include music, and as you know, music is a form of mathematics. So I would just ask whether or not you were constrained, just in case you ever wanted to add music. I'm not saying.
Yeah. So one thing is that the whole concept is that they provide the content and lessons. Like you as a franchisor, we don't have to do anything. Like everything is
I get that. No, I completely understand that. But if at some point you, as a franchisee, decided to add music on your own, would you be allowed to do that?
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I know for digital arts, the part that we talked about is just basic graphics and something like Adobe Photoshop or something like a simpler version of that for the kids.
But I'm telling you, music's a big part of the world.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking. But I think it's probably feasible using, because there's a lot of music software actually.
Exactly.
So just do a drop down things for the kids.
No, I understand that. Just that, I'm going to show you a video which has no music to it, and you'll see in a few minutes, and you'll see that it's kind of boring. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was a question. I mean,
Okay.
I just would raise it.
Yeah.
The other thing that that I wanted to ask is whether they'll do anything with crafting.
Crafting.
Mhm.
So can you elaborate what do you mean exactly?
Oh, yes, I can. I don't think you and Oksana have any kids yet, right?
No, no.
Yeah, so I have more experience than you do. Here's a sign that
Yep.
was made with a laser cutter.
Yes, yes, they do have that.
Yeah, I know, I saw that.
Yeah.
So this is a craft as opposed to an algorithm or a video game, right?
Okay. Yeah.
This is actually, I own a cabin. Literally, I own a cabin in the woods, and so
Okay.
we used a laser cutter to create the sign. It's cute, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
And then I'll show you another craft. And this is my kids and I go to a camp. It's a family camp called Red Pine Camp.
Mhm.
And every year when I go there, I bring a craft, and you can see these are people wearing medallions that I created. Can you see the medallions?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'll make it a little bigger. So
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
so one of the things that I can tell you that children really enjoy is bringing home crafts.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask again if you could ask Hank
Yeah.
and the team there
Yeah.
whether, because crafting is very, very important especially for the younger kids, right? The 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds will really enjoy that. And I think if you made that a part of your system, I mean, if I were talking to Hank, the founder of this franchise, I would say the same thing. I think
Yeah.
crafting should be part of this.
Yeah, yeah, no, makes sense. They do some craft based on laser cutter that we have seen, the laser cutters and 3D
Exactly.
printing. So they create they create toys for themselves, for example.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. So you're on the same wavelength. That
Yeah.
I think is really important for the parents to see, because parents want to see results, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
And
for sure.
crafts are part of that.
Yeah, yeah, and actually, speaking of parents seeing results, so I don't know if you saw on the website, but one of the key things they do is that at the end of every lesson, they basically the kid talks to the camera and they record like a 30-second, 1-minute video describing what they did that day, and then that's posted on parents' portal so the parents can see, and there's an app so they can see the
Oh, it's
progress.
fantastic. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Okay.
Red Pine Camp has, 450 people there, children and their parents, sometimes and their grandparents. And when I bring crafts to the camp, and I in my time, I was probably one of the most popular parents at the camp, because I would teach kids craft.
Okay.
Crafting, and then the parents. The funny thing was the parents would come and start doing crafting.
Oh, okay, okay, nice,
Right?
nice.
So it wasn't
Okay.
just their kids.
Okay,
So anyway, I
okay.
just wanted to, because I know a lot about this area, simply
Yeah.
because I've got a lot of experience and I've got 5 kids.
Right, right.
All right, so that makes me some sort of an expert. All
Yeah.
right. I have some other stuff too. I really like the idea of summer and winter camps, especially summer
Yes.
camps. I
Yeah.
love that idea. And I wanted to show you, in fact, I did boot it up here, I think. Maybe I didn't. I wanted to show you, I probably shut down. Hang on a second, I'll show you. I wanted to show you images from Red Pine Camp. And that family camp. And one of the things that I thought of as something that would really, I think, work for you is finding a summer camp. This is Red Pine Camp. They have cabins, right?
Yeah.
They have an outdoor chapel.
Yeah.
They have sleep cabins, which you can sort of see here. Maybe there's some better pictures of it.
Yeah.
They have lots of these. You can sort of see them here. I hope I'd be able to show you there. They have a beautiful, here's their dock, down by the water. And rather than, building your own camp, which takes a long time, is very expensive, you can rent these camps for not very much money.
Right.
And, they hold like 450 people. So you could do camps where the Steamoji kids and the families come.
Okay.
So I wanted you to just add that to your business model, because if you do that, let's say it costs you, I don't know, I'm just making up a number. Let's say it costs you $5,000 to rent Red Pine Camp for a week, right? And you're going to have 400 people come, and everybody pays $100 to come for the week, or maybe it's maybe it's $400 for the week. But let's say, well, I think Red Pine charges $500 for the week. So let's say you had 400 people who came at $500 for the week, which is not very much, times 400. That's $200,000.
Yeah.
And there you have some costs. You have to rent the camp, and you have to bring food in, and you have some staff, etc. But at $200,000 a week revenues, maybe your costs are, I don't know, $120,000, and you can make 80 grand a week, and you have no risk.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so I want you to think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I had some other stuff that I wanted to talk about. You talked about buying, a location, right?
Yeah.
A retail plaza maybe that wasn't doing very well, and then fixing it up. So there's a real estate component to this.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show you two possibilities. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to laugh, but I think it might work for you.
Okay.
See if I can. Oh man, I probably closed all my. I did. Okay, I got to find it again. So I had it all these tabs open, and then I closed them.
I've done that. No,
usually I'm pretty smooth with these things. And by the way, it's really nice to see you too.
Thanks, Prof. Same.
You haven't done much talking because I'm doing more coaching today and all that stuff. But just trying to get this thing to open. But just for the record here, I always talk about you, and some of the really great stuff that you've been able to do. That renovation you did with those micro suites, and the 3 micro suites in the basement instead of a 3-bedroom apartment, you had 3 micro suites. How is that working out for you?
Oh, it's perfect. We have had a couple of turnovers, but it's very quickly we find tenants, and they're really good tenants, and they helped us. So we were used to renting to students, but now we are doing young professionals, which are way more stable and
way more stable. Yeah. And a young professional would much rather have a micro suite of his or her own than sharing a 3-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, absolutely. It actually so from from options perspective, it captures perfectly the people who want a bit more independence, but they don't want to pay full apartment all the utilities by themselves.
Oh, it's such a brilliant idea. And the micro suites are renting for $1,000 or a little bit over $1,000.
$1,000.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, I did find it finally. Sorry. So I think you know that I have a project that I call the Barn Dominium, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that project?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's near the lake that you created, right?
Yeah. This is a video. So I won't run the video just yet. So this is obviously this is the Barn Dominium here, and just for the recording, I built this thing about 20 or 25 years ago. It's close to Dunrobin Lake, and there's another pond here, and there's lots of houses around the lake now. But I still own the Barn Dominium, and it was really a playpen for my kids and for myself when my kids were younger. But then children have a way of growing up, and the barn was empty. So what I did was I converted it to a number of workshops. Do you remember that model?
Yes.
And it's got 29-foot ceiling height in there. It's beautiful. So one of the things I was going to suggest that you and Oksana might consider for your first location is you might actually buy a sort of a hobby farm with a large barn, and you could run your Steamoji in there. I'm not saying that's what you would do, but you could do that.
Yeah. How would that? if parents want to come there twice a week, it needs to be somewhere accessible, right?
Yeah, well, Dunrobin, as you know, this is Dunrobin is not, it's about, I think, 10 or 12 minutes from Canada. Canada
Mhm.
has about 200,000 tech people. And by
Yeah.
the way, you can't have this one.
Okay, I can.
I'm not trying to sell this to you because
Oh,
I
okay,
own
okay.
it. I'm not selling it.
Okay.
But if I were going to start somewhere, I would definitely pick Canada. Lots of
Yeah.
families, lots of money, people that you would know,
Mhm.
also in the technology industry. And,
Yeah.
so, I mean, this is the kind of thing that you could have picked up a few
Yeah.
years ago for $300,000,
Oh, wow. Okay.
right? And it's
Yeah.
got 4 acres of land. So
Mhm.
you could have your camp here, right?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
could have events here. You
Mhm.
could have concerts here if you have music, or you could have
Mhm.
like a show day where the people are creating things.
Yeah.
So it's an absolute. No, we use it. We have, I think, 8 or 9, maybe there are 10 workshops there now, and
Mhm.
we also have some. We built some housing around it as well. So we have a
Nice.
place for people to live and work. So
Mhm.
we've got a young seamstress here. She has, you can't see it on the screen, but to the left of this, she has a tiny house and she lives there, and she works inside the barn dominium. And we have this guy from France. He builds these beautiful e-catamarans. So this is one of those videos without music, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm hopeless at video, but if I added some very dramatic music, it would have been better, right?
Yeah. 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 No, makes sense.
All
Yeah.
right.
No,
But
this is
it
great.
would make
Yeah.
I think it would make a beautiful Steamoji location. And like I
Mhm.
said, it's 8 minutes away
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
uh maybe it's
Canada.
10 or 12 minutes from Canada, but it's not far.
Mhm. 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 Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now I got more to show you. All right.
Yeah.
So that's
Perfect.
one option.
Yeah.
Looking for a hobby farm.
Hobby farm. Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to show you another one. I gotta stop this. Let's see if I can find the other one. So this is a property that I had for sale. Sorry, hang on a second. So I had this property for sale in Avonmore. So this is south of Ottawa. Okay, so this is
Okay.
too far away. But
Mhm.
the reason I wanted to show, excuse me, show you this, and I'm just going to mute this one because I'll just talk to it. Is this is a property? Yeah, it does not work. This is a property I'm about to show you that you can buy very, very inexpensively, because nobody seems to think that they're worth anything, and
Yeah.
yet they're fantastic. Oh my gosh, how long does it take to get there? I did a long introduction. Okay,
Okay.
so this is an aerial photograph of the place,
Mhm.
and I think this one is about 15 acres, and I think
Mhm.
it's sold for around 500 grand.
Oh, wow.
But it had I think that's like a 2,000 square foot house here, maybe bigger. It's
Mhm.
a high ranch bungalow with a full 2,000 square foot basement. So somebody like Ali and Oksana would have an apartment here. You could have facilitators live there. You know that, eh?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you provided a place to live and a place to work for your facilitators, I bet you they stay a lot longer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you could have an apartment, 4-bedroom apartment upstairs and a 3 or 4 apartment downstairs, or micro suites. You're an expert in that. Then it had this huge workshop. It's like I think it's like I can't remember. It's like 4,000 square feet, which is big.
Yeah.
And then it also had something very similar to my barn. And then it
Mhm.
had 15 acres. Imagine the camps that you could do there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
All right, so I wanted to show you that one.
Yeah. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and nobody wanted it. And if I had had more time, I would have bought that property because I really
For sure.
liked it. But it was
Yeah.
a client of mine. He needed to sell it for some reasons, and
Mhm.
so I
Mhm.
sold it for him. It didn't take me very long. All right,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that's it. Now I had one more thing I wanted to show you.
Yep. For sure.
In terms of buying a retail plaza,
Yeah.
uh, sorry, I want to show you this. I screwed up again. No, I didn't. So I'll share this with you. There is a completely empty plaza
Okay.
about 1,000 meters away from my barn dominium.
Okay.
I'm going to show it to you on the screen here. Can you see it?
Yep. Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
what happened is I actually built this plaza 20 or 25 years ago.
Okay.
And then in the tornado, and when I was getting busy landing the senators, I sold a lot of my real estate. That's a big mistake. But I did, and I put about 20 or $25 million of cash on my balance sheet, just so I'd have some cash available, because buying an NHL franchise, expansion franchise, and building an NHL caliber arena back then was $500 million. Today it would be, at least $1.5 billion. It'd be 3 times the cost today.
Yeah.
But back then I still needed $500 million, so I sold the plaza, and it was bought by 2 chaps, I think originally from India. And then in 2018, do you remember we got the tornadoes that hit Ottawa?
Yep.
The plaza blew down. So they used the insurance money to rebuild it.
Yeah.
And for the last 3 years, it's been empty.
Oh, wow.
So one of the things I was thinking, listen, I just wanted you talk to Oksana about it, but if you're thinking about buying the franchise and you think Canada is a good location, this you should buy again. And you put in a Steamoji here. We put in a pizzeria here. We put in a convenience store here. I mean, I could help you with this if you want.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So the questions are, why has it stayed empty so far?
Well, we are recording this, so I have to be careful what I say, but there's a couple of reasons. There's a big difference between an investor and a developer. You know that, right?
Actually, no. I can guess, but I don't know.
Well, let's say you and Oksana were really good investors, and you bought an existing triplex and it had tenants in it. You could figure out how to finance it. You could figure out how to lease it, and you could sort of keep it going. But you became a developer and you bought a lot, you'd have to learn to do design and apply for a building permit. And if it's a big enough building, a site plan, excuse me, maybe a rezoning. Then you have to do construction financing. Then you have to do leasing.
Right.
And then you'd have to get a takeout mortgage. It's a very different game. Do you sort of see that?
Yes, I see that. Yeah.
So these guys, these 2 fellows, are I'm sure they're good investors, but they know nothing about the development business. Nothing. In my opinion, okay?
Yeah.
And obviously this recording is going to be unlisted.
Yeah.
So we're gonna so that's one of the issues here. The other issue is that Canada has grown a lot.
Yeah.
And there's more retail now in Canada North than there used to be. Back in the day, Canada North had, I think, a gas station and a pizza. Today, if you go down there, it has huge retail.
Yeah.
So this is only 8, 10, or 12 minutes away. So if you're if you're Shoppers Drug Mart, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Dunrobin, which has about 35,000 people, or you're going to go to Canada, which has 200,000. Right. So they're not so to me, what goes in here, like if you were to buy this, Oksana, what we would do is we would put in a chiropractor, we would put in a physiotherapist, we would put in a registered massage therapist, we'd have a pizzeria, we'd have Steamoji there, we'd have a lawyer there, we'd have an accountant there. But you're not, if you're going after the Shoppers Drug Marts of the world, they're not coming to Dunrobin. So I think they're going after the wrong kinds of tenants. And you have to reorient your program to accept B covenants as opposed to A covenants. Like Shoppers is an A covenant. Right?
Okay.
A B covenant would be somebody, Sam's Pizzeria.
Yeah.
Right? A B covenant would be Steamoji, with all due respect. A B covenant would be, a young lawyer starting her practice, right?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Still good covenants in my opinion, but they're not, it's not the Royal Bank of Canada here.
Yeah.
So the Royal Bank of Canada is not going to open a branch here either.
Yeah.
All right. But the neat thing about this site is it has, I think it comes with 4 acres.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So again, you'd have, plenty of room for the kids to run around and have some fun.
Yeah, for sure. Do you know in the ballpark, what's the square footage of each of these?
I know exactly what they are.
Okay.
So the whole plaza is about 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the original plans, you know, because I built the damn thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And each bay is about, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one here is the biggest bay. This is where the pizzeria was. This was the restaurant.
Okay.
And you would put the restaurant in here with a nice patio, because it used to have a beautiful patio over here. And we also had over here, we had volleyball courts. Today you'd put pickleball in. Do you know pickleball?
Pickleball? No, no. We get ball. Okay.
Anyway, but you know what volleyball is, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what we used to rent this to a guy. It was actually Sam Musa. We used to rent this to Sam.
Okay.
A very successful pizzeria. Then he had his patio here, and then we had volleyball over here. There's people who play volleyball, drink beer, and eat pizza.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So this, this I think was about 3,500 square feet. If I'm right. How much room do you need for Steamoji?
So about 1,800 square feet, 2,000 square feet.
Yeah. So just give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So. Yeah, so each of these bays are about 1,000 square feet. So you would need two bays.
2 bays. Okay.
So you would probably put Steamoji here, so you can have, you know, parking at the end of the property, and then you'd have a chiropractor. Excuse me. You'd have you'd have a convenience store. You'd have a physiotherapist. You'd have a law office, and then, you know, some kind of a restaurant here.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to show you something else too. So a client of mine bought the land next to the plaza. So if I'm just saying, if you and Oksana were going to buy this thing, I want you to at least think about buying the land next to it as well, because it's also zoned commercial.
Okay.
And I'll show you what that looks like if I can find. Here it is. So so what we were going to do with the land next to it, or at least the proposal was, to put in more retail here eventually as demand grows. You know, so this was sort of like a more modern looking plaza. But what I wanted to show you was this. So the original site for the vacant land is 4 acres or 4.5 acres. And we got permission from the city to sever it. So it's now about 2.4 and 2.4 acres. So you could have both retail here or office uses here, and you could have housing in the back. So what we eventually got approved was this plan here. So the plaza that I showed you is right here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you could have you know, additional retail space or additional office space, whatever you wanted here. And you could also have 2 duplexes, a duplex here and a duplex here. So I mean, if you were going to do it, you know, you would at least, you know, because one of the things I found is if you put Steamoji in Dunrava, if you did, and it's the kind of success that I think it will be, you might eat up the entire or half of the plaza, and so you might jump to the other you know, site.
Yeah.
And then if you had, so you know, you're going to increase property value, so you might buy the whole damn thing. And I think
that,
and because it's been empty for 3 or 4 years, maybe you could get a deal.
good. That's
By the way,
very
if you're going to buy any of that, you're going to use me as your realtor, so I can make some money too.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. We understanding there.
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry, did you say the land right next to it, your client already bought it?
Yeah. Well, this is years ago. So he's a very wealthy dentist, a wonderful man. But again, he's an investor, not a developer. He just bought it to speculate on it. I don't think he paid very much for it. I think he paid, I don't remember what he paid. I can check, but I think he paid, you know, $200,000 or $300,000 for the land. Something.
Okay.
And so, you know, he's just you know, he's a lovely man, and he's a very good investor. But he's the kind of guy who would buy. He's bought, I think, 300, you know, townhomes and rents them out. You know, he likes real estate. So, but his model is he's an investor, not a developer. The chances of him building anything on that land is probably close to 0.
Okay.
So if you wanted it, I think you could, you know, you would put in an offer on the plaza with lots of conditions in it, in case you don't get the franchise.
Yeah.
And you'd probably put an offer in on the land next door, and you'd have a hell of a budget.
Yeah, that's gonna be my investment for next decade.
Well, I don't think so. You know, you're young and full of energy and creativity, and as long as I'm alive, I would help you both as your realtor and as your coach if you wanted.
Yeah, that would be great. Obviously these things are not on market for sale, but like, are we talking?
Well, I know all the players, so
Yeah.
you know, we'd go after it, you and me.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you think about it. You'll have the recording.
Yeah.
You can show it to your bride,
Yeah.
and maybe she'll think it's a terrible idea, in which case it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I'm not kidding. To me, the real estate opportunity and the fact you're 10 minutes away from Canada or 12 minutes away from Canada, 200,000 people. I don't know how many kids, man. It's got to be 40,000 kids there, 50,000, 60,000 kids.
Yeah. So we looked at the demographics. So the best locations, the way they divided the city, at least, is Ottawa and Barrhaven. Sorry, Canada and Barrhaven. Canada has, in that age group, they have about 20,000 kids between 5 and 14.
Perfect.
And we only need 400.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure we can do it, especially if we do it. There is one. If you go to Canada, there is one thing that I would want you to advertise in.
Yeah.
Do you know the Canada North Business Park?
Yes. Business park. I know they have a business improvement area.
Yes, they do. Yeah. It's called the Canada North Business Improvement Area.
Yeah.
The Canada North Business Park has over 30,000 knowledge workers in it.
Okay.
And they have a BIA, a business improvement area.
Yeah.
And they have a newsletter with 20,000.
Yeah.
So when I started my coaching, one of the first things that I did, Ali, was I advertised in their newsletter. So I didn't do digital ads. Well, it was a digital ad in the sense that it came by email. But they have so I put in, hey, I'm Bruce Firestone, founder of the Ottawa Senators, very successful real estate developer and investor. If you're sick and tired of your crappy mutual funds and your lousy tax-free savings accounts and low returns from your financial advisor, talk to me. I'll coach you how to build a real estate portfolio that will take care of you and your family for 3 generations. Email Bruce at brucemfirestone.com. That's how I got John Lee, the dentist. He was my very first coaching client. And that's how I got started. So imagine, I mean, that's a natural for Steamoji, and they'll love it. And they'll love an ad from Steve. They're not going to take an ad, you know, for an escort service and put it in the BIA. They will reject that. But for a coach like me or something that's focused on STEAM, they'll take an ad from you any day. You have to pay for it, but I didn't pay very much. I think I paid $250 for the ad, and the rest was history.
No, for sure. No, I mean, Canada is like basically so the target market for a franchisor, they want tech savvy or tech aware parents, and annual household annual income of above 125K.
Oh yeah, well, Canada's
no problem.
So listen, but I'm a real estate guy, and so are you to some extent now. If you're really serious about doing this, you might put in a conditional offer on the plaza. You might. Because the cost of renting a commercial space compared to owning it is night and day. And you know, you don't have to say conditional on the franchise. You can say conditional on the financing. Right? It's none of their business that you're going after Steamoji. In fact, don't disclose that to anyone.
No, exactly.
But you know, I would see if I could buy that plaza with conditions in it. Then you negotiate your franchise agreement. Now you've got a location, and that's what I did when I founded the Ottawa Senators. I went out and I bought 600 acres of land where the Canadian Tire Center is now. Before I even had the franchise. But it added a lot to my credibility, if you follow what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you mean. So you have
the location 10 minutes away from Canada, which is the perfect demographic. You and I both great. And but if you don't get the franchise, or you decide you don't like the plaza, just let it go.
No, for sure. I guess the big question is like, how much are we talking about plaza? I know it's not on the market. Yeah, but
I
like,
mean, I listen.
is it like 5 million
Oh
range,
God,
1
no.
million range?
I don't know. It'd be in the $1 to $2 million range.
1 or 2. Okay, that'll be
Yeah,
your
yeah.
guess.
That
Okay.
would be my guess. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I mean, if I were, you know, helping you and Oksana buy it, we'd put in an offer.
Yeah.
I'd talk to the owners first, and we'd put in an offer. And
Mhm.
but I would say, you know, I'm working with a young couple. They think they can maybe fill it with tenants over the next few years, but I wouldn't breathe a word about, oh, listen, they got this awesome franchise out of Vancouver called Steamoji. You know, so they're the owner occupant. You understand?
Yes. 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 Yes.
And
Yes.
let's say I had a small law firm and I needed 10,000 square feet. I
Mhm.
could buy that plaza in a minute.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
how much it costs to rent 10,000 square feet in a AAA building?
No idea.
It's about $25 to $30 a square foot triple net,
Okay.
plus your operating costs, plus your property taxes, plus your utilities. You're probably at 50
Net
bucks.
triple.
You know,
Okay.
so you're talking $500,000. You can buy the damn thing for $2 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, owning this thing is a no-brainer, but only if you get the franchise.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And of course, I'm being a bit selfish here too, you know, in the sense that I own the barn dominium, so I'd love to see you, you know, like 1,000 meters up the road.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand that. Yeah, that's very interesting. But wouldn't that, like, on one hand, I like the idea of the real estate, but I was thinking, you know, much smaller scale. But in terms of risk or fear of, you know, so basically what I'm thinking, if I rent a place or just buy a much smaller place, you know, on Merivale right now, there's a vacant, you know, available space available, you know, 500K. And it's just be enough for Steamoji only, right? So if I buy something like that,
it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's gonna be. So then I just have to worry about the Steamoji itself, not the rest. You know, renting the rest of it, right?
But you know, you're
But then
also
the
a real
opportunity.
estate guy.
Yeah.
And what's really great about owning a 10,000 square foot plaza is the other 8,000 square feet are paying really for Steamoji.
Yeah, yeah, but
but
right now with the specifically right now, I know it will change over time. I feel like there's a lot of commercial leasing available. We spoke with someone from Invest Ottawa, as you know, to consult, and she was saying now you can get 3 months free rent.
I understand that, but you also said in your email to me, and at some point, let's say you own 3 locations.
Yes.
Right? If you own the real estate.
Oh yeah, it's going to increase the value.
Hang on a second. No.
Yeah.
You own the real estate and Steamoji is leasing from your real estate company. You can sell the business and keep the real estate and they pay you the lease. Then you go to Costa Rica, drink a little rum, smoke cigars.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So if you're just leasing, right, and here's what happens. Okay, right now you could get cheap space. So what? 5 years from now, Steamoji is very successful. Your landlord knows that.
Yeah.
And maybe he rented you the space for $15 a square foot. Now the lease is up. In commercial, there's no overholding. It's not like residential.
Yeah.
Your lease is up. And he says, Oksana, Ali, you know, I was charging you $15, but in the next 5 years, it's going to be $25 a square foot.
Yeah.
And then when you're my age or a bit younger, you decide you're going to sell the business. The first question people are going to ask you is, how long is your lease? And you say, well, I've got another 3 years left. Well, I don't want to buy the Steamoji franchise. In 3 years, I have to move.
Yeah.
Right? If you own the real estate, you could say, hey, listen, I'll give you a 20-year lease.
Yeah, becomes, yeah.
So and plus in terms of financing, it gives you way more options because you could finance the business separately from the real estate.
Yep, absolutely.
So for example, a fit up, you can get a small business loan. You know what Canada Small Business Loan is, right?
No, not that specifically.
So the Canada Small Business Loan Program is designed to help tenants with their fit up costs.
Okay.
And it's a very good program. The government of Canada guarantees 75% of the value of that loan. So if something happened to the franchise, you and Oksana are responsible for 25%. The other 75% is paid by Canada.
Okay.
So you have a business that rents from the real estate company.
Yep.
This business is your tenant. Right?
Yep.
You own both of them, but it's
Yep.
separate. So you can go get a Canada, I think it's up to $1 million of fit up costs. So you can go under the Canada Small Business Loan Program.
Okay.
Then on the real estate, mortgage financing, right?
Yeah.
Ali?
Yeah.
You should buy something if you can. And
okay.
Tell me about the Merivale Road location.
That one is, I didn't look too much into it. It's just at close to Merivale and Meadowlands. It was on market when I looked at it last. Yeah.
Well, if you feel comfortable with me helping you as a realtor, I'd love to put I don't care whether it's Dunrobin or Merivale. I'll put the offer in for you if you want.
Yeah. No, the thing is, we haven't fully decided yet. I think so we basically, if we think about it, yeah, so Merivale, it's, let me see if I can send you the link. Just give me a second. Realtor, commercial. For sale. But that's what a Merivale is just enough for one business.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so VPN. Okay, I think it's no longer on market. If I put all commercial. Yeah, I no longer see that. It's not on market anymore. Well, but I think it was about 1,200 square feet.
Yep.
And about 460, 480K, something like that. Okay.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that either,
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, we've done a lot of damage for today.
Okay.
I think it was a good call.
Oh, it was great.
And there's a lot of work for you to do.
Yep.
The last question I have for you, and don't answer it now, answer it after you talk to Oksana.
Yeah.
Is you should not buy a Steamoji franchise or 2 or 3 of them unless you're passionate about this. I love it because I love kids and I love education. I'm an educator, a mentor, a coach. It just comes to me naturally, I think. But you and Oksana have to sincerely look in the mirror, both of you together, and say, are we really passionate about it? Because if it makes financial sense, that's your head. If your instincts say, yeah, this is probably going to work, that's good. But if you're not really turned on by, being STEAM educators and helping children, don't do it.
Okay.
You got to be passionate. You got to really love what you do, right? And otherwise you'll hate it, right? I mean, it'll just be a lot of work for nothing. So, but answer that later.
Okay, for sure.
Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
I mean, I know it's on top of the hour, so, but maybe quickly. The thing is, so from business aspect, I think we are more or less sold. We know it's going to work. But in terms of personal, in terms of timing, so we are planning to build our own house next year.
I know.
And then the question is, on one hand, I don't want to wait, because if I wait, I'm looking at 2 years from now to do anything. And by the time we build a house, who knows? We probably be in so much debt. We will probably don't want to do this for a while.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. But then on the other side, I don't want to complicate things before doing a house construction.
I saw that in your email. That was a very good point, and I'm glad you raised it. The other thing that I would probably do if I was advising, and I am advising, so what I would probably suggest, Ali, and this is something, again, I want you to ask Oksana, are we truly passionate about this? And then the next question is, if you were going to say buy the Dunrobin Plaza, the land next door, and do that as a Steamoji location, I would suggest that you consider bringing in a group of investors. For the first one, you and Oksana will feel more comfortable. And you remember how we do that, right? We bring in, I don't know, $750,000 worth of equity, $1 million worth of equity, and that buys them 35% of the business because we structure it partly in equity and partly in debt. You remember that?
Yeah.
And if you had an extra $750,000 or $1 million in cash to do your first location, and they own 35% of the business, and you and Oksana own 65%, that would be okay. Because I think a lot of the parents who are technology people will love this concept, but they'll also love owning the real estate. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I see.
I mean, do you know how many tech guys I coach who love tech but love real estate too? You understand that?
Yeah.
You and Oksana are not the only tech people who like real estate.
Yeah.
You know that. And by the time, how old are you now, Ali?
37.
You're 37. By the time you're 45, people are looking at Ali and saying, he's getting old. So a lot of the tech guys I coach are in their 40s and they're going, geez, I got to do something else, man. Because, those 25-year-olds are going to push me out the window. So I want you to ask Oksana whether she would be comfortable with not partners, investors.
Investors, yeah.
You know the difference between a partner and investor?
Yeah, so they're not, basically don't actively run the business, they're just money partner.
All they're interested in is seeing Steamoji go ahead to be successful, and they get a return on their investment.
Yeah,
they're interested in owning some real estate because they want to know more about real estate. So for an investor, it's an irresistible, especially for technology men and women, it's an irresistible value proposition. You can own part of the real estate, you can own part of the operating business, and it's really exciting. But you're an investor, you're going to get preferred shares. They don't vote. The only thing that you're going to want to see is you're going to want to visit this place once or twice a year, and you're going to want to get a check.
Okay. Sounds good.
You have to ask those questions and get back to me next week. Okay?
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Bruce. Thank you. Cheers.
And I've got the recording. I'll put it on YouTube for unlisted.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.